Hello, my friends. Today we'll start with the fact that Russia is once again preparing for a large-scale attack on Ukraine. Western embassies have received warnings about the maximum level of danger. According to our information, all embassies have been warned about a massive attack expected in the near future, and therefore the highest level of danger, red, has been declared for them. As part of standard procedure, staff of foreign diplomatic missions have been given instructions on how to prepare for possible consequences, charging backup power sources, preparing supplies of food, water, medicines, and more. The attack is expected to be aimed specifically at trying to plunge Kyiv into a blackout for 3 to 5 days. Zelenskyy has also warned that an attack is being prepared.
In the coming days, we must continue to be extremely alert. Russia has prepared for a massive strike, and is waiting for the right moment to carry it out. Please pay close attention to all air raid alerts.
Overall, the situation remains tense. And today, Zelenskyy announced that he has appointed a new deputy commander of the Air Force. I have approved the appointment of a new deputy commander of the Air Force, Pavlo Yelizarov. He is well known in the army, call sign Lazar, a special unit that operates effectively, Zelenskyy said. There will be a new approach to how the Air Force uses air defense systems. This includes mobile fire groups, interceptor drones, and other short-range air defense assets. This system will be transformed. Together with the Minister of Defense of Ukraine and the military command, a new organizational structure for this entire component of air defense will be developed, and it will be developed specifically to protect the sky. Meanwhile, Merz said that they have once again become convinced that Putin doesn't want to stop the war.
At present, security concerns in Europe come more from the east than from the west. We see the war in Ukraine. This poses a serious threat to our shared security, especially the security of all of Eastern Europe. Western Europe, including Greenland, is not currently facing a threat from Russia to the extent some suggest. I would like to focus again on Ukraine in the coming days, because Putin is still not ready to sit down at the negotiating table and bring this war to an end. And that is truly my main security concern for Europe, not Greenland, but Ukraine.
Friends, be sure to share your thoughts on this in the comments. Meanwhile, the war in Ukraine continues. Now let's move on to the situation along the front line, starting with the Sumy direction. Here, the Russians are trying to break through toward Andriivka, but despite all the Russian claims about capturing the village, which were made as far back as a week ago, they have had no success here. Over the past day, they haven't managed to advance any further. In the Kharkiv direction, the Russians continue shelling without conducting offensive actions. It was also reported last night that strikes hit Chuhuiv. The city was completely left without electricity, and at the same time, Russian forces are moving quite actively in the Vovchansk area. Here, they have fully captured Prylipka and Lyman and have advanced beyond these settlements across the fields. They have also come very close to the village of Gravske. A fairly strong strike group is forming here for further advances. The Russians are also assaulting Staritsa, Gravske, and the outskirts of Vovchansk, and there are reports of new Russian advances in the area of Vovchansky Hutory. It appears they are attempting to encircle the village. They have also advanced toward Bochkove, and as a result, the entire front line in this area is gradually sagging. Problems are also emerging along the border. the Russians have already moved beyond the village of Krugle and are breaking through toward the river. Assaults on the village of Nesterne have also resumed. At the same time, there are statements from the Ukrainian side that the village of Dehtyarne has already completely come under the control of the Russians. However, there is still no official confirmation, so we are waiting for further information. In the Velykyi Burluk direction, all attacks on Chuhuivka were successfully repelled, and the front line there remains unchanged. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians are assaulting Petropavlivka, Pishane, and Kurylivka. However, over the past day, they haven't managed to advance any further, and so far, all attacks are being successfully repelled by the Ukrainian forces. In the Borova direction, the Russians are assaulting Borivska and Andriivka, but they have been unable to advance further, and there have been no changes over the past day. In the Lyman direction, activity has decreased. Again, Russian forces have failed to secure positions near Lyman and are assaulting Stavky and Oleksandrivka. At the same time, Ukrainian soldiers report that they're actively destroying Russian forces in the fields near Lyman and the village of Stavky, even though the situation in this area remains difficult. In the Sloviansk direction, the Russians are attempting to break through near Ozerne, and offensive actions are being recorded in the fields toward the village of Rai Oleksandrivka. As a result, the Russians are gradually moving forward in this area, and yesterday a small breakthrough in the fields beyond Fedorivka was even confirmed. So the situation here is difficult as the Russians are steadily pressing the defenses. In the Kostiantynivka direction, the Russians continue to try to break through the defenses along almost the entire front line. They have even managed to push toward the village of Ilyinka. If they manage to secure positions there, it would pose a very serious problem for the defense of Kostiantynivka. For now, however, the area remains a gray zone, and the Ukrainian forces continue to repel all attacks. In the Dobropillia direction, the Russians are assaulting Kucherev Yar, Nikonorivka, and Suvorove. Ukrainian forces soldiers report that Russian forces have achieved new tactical gains. Shahivka direction. The Russians are attempting to develop the advance toward Kucherev Yar, acting cautiously by probing positions and using gaps in the terrain. At the same time, their activity and advances southwest of Toretsk are being recorded, indicating an attempt to expand the pressure zone across several adjacent areas at once. The Russians have advanced west of Novopavlivka, where the gray zone is gradually expanding. Additionally, the gray zone is increasing northwest of Ivanivka, as well as in the area of the settlement of Novy Donbass. Heavy, intense fighting is ongoing for this locality. If the Russians manage to press through there, it will open up the possibility of advancing from the east and the southeastern flank, creating serious risks for the entire defensive configuration in this sector. In the Pokrovsk direction, the Russians are also continuing their pressure, assaulting Rodinske, the outskirts of Mirnograd, and pushing toward Sergiyevka. Ukrainian forces soldiers describe the situation as follows. The Russians continue to closely monitor and keep our logistics under pressure in the Chernihivka area. At the same time, they're trying to press through Zatishok at the moment the village has entered the gray zone. It is also worth noting that the Russians have managed to establish control over the water treatment facility north of Pokrovsk, which allows them to move closer to Kherson from the eastern direction. In addition, the Russians have begun actively using FAB guided bombs against Vasilievka. This is a clear signal of an attempt to block our maneuvering, disrupt the buildup of forces, and apply pressure from the rear in the Kherson area. In the Novopavlivka direction, the Russians continue attacks in the city, assaulting Filia and Ivanivka, but there have been no changes over the past day, and so far all attacks are being successfully repelled. In the direction of the settlement of Pokrovske in the Dnipropetrovsk region, the Russians are advancing beyond Sosnivka and Vashneva. At the same time, shelling of the frontline area has increased, but there have been no changes along the front line. In the Huliaipole direction, the Russians are conducting assaults along the entire front line without exception. They are trying to advance and aim to encircle Huliaipole since they were unable to capture the city quickly and completely. Fighting continues and heavy shelling hasn't stopped, but so far the front line remains unchanged over the past day. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, the Russians are assaulting Prymorske, and yesterday, Ukrainian Armed Forces soldiers released videos showing Russian forces being destroyed directly in the village. This indicates that almost half of the village is already under their control. In addition, the Russians claim to have captured the village of Pavlivka, but no video evidence has been provided. For now, we are waiting to see how events develop. Late yesterday evening, there were also reports of drone strikes on the city of Zaporizhzhia. This is a clear indication that the closer the front line gets, the more attacks on the city there will be. In the Kherson direction, the Russians are not conducting new assaults, and there have been no changes over the past day. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.